Hi. So I think this will be sort of a free form channel where I can share with you ideas that I find valuable in my own life, and that by consequence I think will be valuable for some of you. At the same time, selfishly, it gives me an outlet to practice my speaking skills, which I think everyone could use continued practice with. I currently live internationally. I live, in a small town in Asia. My wife is from here, and so I don't often get too many opportunities to speak or interact with my peers, you could say. So here we are, YouTube. Why not? Today, a short video about starting new businesses and what I think about. I've started a handful of businesses in my life. I'm starting another one, have started another one just recently. And my general thoughts, I think this is good advice for most people. Obviously it depends on what you're trying to get into, but in general, if your idea is just, hey, I just want to start a business, don't really care too much about what it is. If you can just keep your costs of failure low, doesn't mean you can't start a big business or spend a lot of money. It just can't be your personal money. If you can keep your personal costs of failure low, well, obviously, by definition, your risk is exponentially decreased. But by consequence, you can iterate. You can do the same thing again. If you fail, the cost of failure, not only to your pocketbook is less, but by consequence, to your future is less, because you can turn around and start again, since you didn't spend much of your own money or any of your own money to get started. Now, obviously, that's what's happening when you look at the Silicon Valley, when you look at a VC, PE-backed company. They're not using their own money, or if you were even to get a conventional loan, commercial loan from a bank. The whole idea is to preserve your own money. I think this is contrary to what most of us who grew up in the middle class see as the way to start something. We have so many examples of Uncle Larry, who worked for 10 years as hard as he could to save up a nest egg, and then instead of using that to buy a house, he went and started a transportation business or whatever, started some business and threw all of his savings in there. And if it worked, wonderful, good for him. But if it didn't work, well, what is he going to do? Save up another 10 years? Is he going to be 50 at that point? Is he going to be 40 at that point? How is his family situation? He's got increasing expenses. We all have increasing expenses as we get older, get married, have children. Your options, it starts to feel like your options are running low. And so one thing that you can do is, just keep the cost of failure lower. If you have that same business, but you were to go out and raise some equity partner for a substantial stake of the business, sure, now maybe you only have 60% of the business or less, whatever the number is. But if you took 6 months to go and raise the money and put in none of your own or very little of your own, you just changed the consequences essentially of success or failure. Success, you still are going to have a successful business. You'll own a little bit less of it, but you can grow it and you can do it much faster instead of waiting your 10 years. And failure, well, you can start again. Look, I know I'm drastically oversimplifying these things, but for anyone like myself who had to figure these things out kind of on their own, just piecing information together from various sources, I didn't see this modeled for me as a child. I don't come from an entrepreneurial family. This overly simplistic and obvious argument is extremely powerful and so easy to overlook. If you can keep the cost of failure low, you can go again and try again and build another thing and start another thing. And obviously, look, if you're constantly failing, you got to see what's wrong. But anyone who's entrepreneurial is not that terrified of failure and already understands that failure is part of the game, part of the time. So that's really it. I don't really have anything to add. I'd just be ranting. So keeping costs down, not costs down, I'm sorry, keeping your personal investment down, in my opinion, is the way to go. We could look at examples, but I think we're laboring the point. So God bless you.